This morning, I woke up to a message from one of my friends who I buddy read horror novels with. She asked me a question. She said, "Are there any books that scare you?" Yes, there are books that scare me, but not horror novels. Hello, welcome to my channel. Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I am on a project to make people aware of authoritarianism in the United States of America and elsewhere in the world. I am calling this project Authoritarian Awareness Thursday, if you want to post on Thursdays, or just Authoritarian Awareness, if you want to post on any other day. I am encouraging people to make their own posts, their own social commentaries about whatever subject of authoritarianism they want. Because there's so many ways you can make people aware of what is going on in this world. I'm doing mine through books. People do not have to be or make their authoritarian awareness known through books. It is completely open to individuals to make their own decisions. But I want people to be aware of authoritarianism in the world today because it is on the rise. Now, I mentioned in the beginning of this intro about horror novels. Horror novels are supposed to scare people, but it's not a real scare. You are not scared of vampires or werewolves or cannibalistic mutants because those creatures do not exist in the real world and they can cause you no harm. But the scare is a fun scare because the kind of scare that you can cozy up to. But today, I want to talk about a book that is actually scary and does make me afraid. And that is Money, Lies, and God, Inside the Movement to Destroy American Democracy by Katherine Stewart, published in 2025. Now, this book is a great mosaic of the anti-democratic movements in the United States today. It is not exactly a cohesive whole book in the fact that there's a beginning, middle, and end. It's just pieces together about what's happening in the anti-democratic movements in the United States. And when I'm making this video, or I should say when I was reading this book on my Kindle to make this video, I took a lot of highlights in this book. I don't normally make a lot of highlights in my Kindle books, but this one made me highlight. And for the most part, I'm going to be reading you a lot of these highlights. I'm making my own mosaic out of this book so you can get a picture of what this book is kind of like. To start off the quotes, "The big story of our time is the rise of an anti-democratic political movement in the United States. Like any such movement, this one is diverse and complicated. It brings together a collection of people and ideas that in ordinary circumstances would not dream of sharing a bed. It is united in its profound rejection of the Enlightenment ideas on which the American Republic was founded, and it represents the most serious threat to American democracy since the Civil War. Many people have blamed America's current political dysfunction on Donald Trump. They take for granted that the problem will go away when he, along with his fellow religious nationalist demagogues, at long last depart for wherever they are going. But the spirit warriors aren't going to disappear with them. They might very well choose leaders who are even madder. Too many Americans have trouble acknowledging the extremism that has sprung up in our midst." That sets up the stage for the main problem. And the main problem striving for anti-democracy in the United States of America at this time is Christian nationalism. I quote again, "Christian nationalism is not a religion. It is not Christianity. It is a political identity with a corresponding political ideology, and the ideology in question doesn't have a lot to do with the way many, if not most, Americans understand Christianity. You don't have to be a Christian to be a Christian nationalist, and plenty of patriotic Christians want nothing to do with Christian nationalism. These Christian nationalists may not have read the Bible or may not understand the Bible very well, because as an atheist, I have read a little bit of the Bible, and I know that Jesus Christ preached kindness and tolerance and helping the poor over most other things. Back to quoting. Although it is at bottom a political ideology, moreover, Christian nationalism is not merely a policy program. It is perhaps best understood as a political mindset. The desired end state of Christian nationalism today is neither to win a majority nor to secure a seat at the table in a pluralistic democracy, but to entrench minority rule under the facade of democracy. They want their Jesus to lift weights and carry a sword. They are all about counting on him to come down hard on the moochers and the layabouts and those who challenge supposedly religious hierarchies. What the people on the podium are selling and what the people in the crowd are buying is the license to ignore reality altogether and to deny any fact that contradicts their emotional desires, including the desire for revenge. On most days of the week, however, it is a component of the political party. More exactly, it is an anti-American, anti-democratic, authoritarian party that exploits its spiritual claims over its congregants to advance its own power and its own political economic agenda. But where do all the other religions fit in under Christian nationalism? The Hindus, the Buddhists, the Jews, the Muslims, the Mormons, the Zoroastrians. Okay, there's not many of them, but they're still there. Where do they all fit in? A person's religion should not matter. It's the community a person belongs to. It is not a divine edict. So say I. And there are so many religions, how can you determine which divine edict is correct? This is one of the reasons that Christian nationalism really scares the bejesus out of me, because they are saying their religion is the correct religion and all other religions are the wrong religion. You will have to obey. You will have to submit to their will, to their law. And that is truly frightening, in my humble opinion. The book also covers a lot on education and misinformation. The religious right's long-standing hostility to a public education has roots in Reconstruction-era hostility to emancipation, along with mid-century opposition to desegregation and pluralism. There's also a very interesting piece in this book where the author says, if you are listening to someone who is ranting against the woke and wokeism, in your mind, substitute the word the woke for the Jew. It will fit. You will find many parallels in history because these Christian nationalists need an enemy of some sort. And while you cannot have the Jew as an enemy in polite society today, you can actually have the woke as an enemy. But really, the woke do nothing more heinous than the Jews did in the early part of the 20th century. And why are the Christian nationalists surging so well and so forcefully? They have the financial backing of the billionaires. I'm not going to go into a billionaire rant in this video, but there's plenty of that information in this book. So what are people supposed to do about the surging problem of the Christian nationalists and this anti-democracy movement? I'll leave you with one more quote from the book. What can one person do in the face of such a powerful and well-funded threat? To which I can only say, put this book down and get to work now. Support your school community. Get involved in local governance. If you belong to a church or a house of worship, work to bring your fellows to the side of justice and democracy. Find others who are committed to protecting the vote or involved in voter engagement to educate campaigns. Reach out to those who feel politically disenfranchised. Tell them democracy matters. Tell them the republic is theirs, if they can keep it. I don't belong to a school. I don't belong to a church. But I do belong to booktube. And this quote proves why I'm engaging in Authoritarian Awareness Thursdays. I hope other people will get engaged too. I have 2 more books on this topic that I can recommend. Jesus and John Wayne, How White Evangelicals Corrupted a Faith and Fractured a Nation by Kristen Kobos-Dumez, published in 2020. It covers a lot of the same topics as in Money, Lies, and God. I can also recommend American Crusade, How the Supreme Court is Weaponizing Religious Freedom by Andrew L. Seidel, published in 2022. This is how essentially the Supreme Court, with 6 Catholic judges, are doing the bidding of the Christian nationalists. A very scary book indeed, as was Jesus and John Wayne. Don't be frightened. Resist authority wherever you can. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.